Hello! Welcome back to my Book of Mormon with me, David Michael. We are up to episode 41. And, this time, no drinking for me. Yeah, gonna have to take a break from the old drinking game. Yeah, so episode 39, like it was almost by accident that I happened to be drinking when I recorded, and everyone emailed me and said, "Oh, funniest episode ever, do it again." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do it again." So did it again. I think I went a little overboard. Got way too drunk in episode 40. And, there was a lot of drinks, right? And so, yeah, I think it's something you can't do every episode. Yeah, it gets annoying, I think. When I listen back, I was like, it probably was funny that one time. I don't know if it was funny back to back. So my bad. And remember, this is the first time I'm doing this. I've never done a podcast before. So I'm learning as I go. So yeah, if you find some way to shake things up and make it funny for an episode, you can't automatically assume it'll work for 2 episodes. Yeah. So my bad on episode 40. Anyway, there were some funny moments, I thought. There were times that I laughed at myself. But yeah. So we're not going to do that again. But at least for a while. I might just sneak one in. You never know. Just might. But I'll tell you, here's what's funny about the drinking episode. So episode 39, I released it on a Wednesday and named it, Alma, whatever. And then I said, the drunk episode, right? And then 2 days later, Thank God I'm an Atheist came out with their episode 150, and they named it the drunk episode. And I was like, come on, guys. You can't just steal my idea. Come on. What are you doing? Especially after we gave them this glowing endorsement, right? It was Prophet Jeremy's very first endorsement that we put on the show. Was Thank God I'm an Atheist podcast, and here they are stealing our ideas. But whatever, no hard feelings. I don't know if you guys have listened to it, but their drunk episode was hilarious. So it's worth checking out. Episode 150 of Thank God I'm Atheist. Oh, it's really funny. I laughed anyway, whatever. All right, so let's get into this thing. Let's have ourselves some fun. Oh, one other thing. I want to thank our good friends over at Irreligiosity. So on their podcast, they put out a call to arms for people to support the Taylor Scholarship. And so I wanted to personally thank them. That was awesome. I sent them an email saying, thanks so much, guys. And so if you haven't listened to their podcast, I was actually a guest on there, and you could listen to me on there and get to know a little bit more about my background. But otherwise, even if you're, not interested in that, it's a great show that they put on. So, and also, by the way, if you don't know this, on the website, mybookofmormonpodcast.com, there's a tab that says David's guest appearances, and so there you can see reference to every show that I've been on and the episode numbers that I've been on. So yeah, I'll be honest with you, I haven't gone on a show that I don't like, and it's just kind of, maybe that's just coincidence that I've been invited on shows that I really enjoy. So everyone on there, every single one that you see there is worth checking out, in my opinion. So anyway, great way to get out there and check out different things. So before I start reading, one thing, I am horrifically behind on emails. I get it. So if you've emailed me and I haven't written back, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I'm busy, and I'm sorry. So I'm going to try and see if I can carve out a few hours where I just can just erase all distractions and just sit down and get to them. Because there's a lot of you that have actually offered to help in some way, and I'm like, yes, that would be awesome, but then I haven't actually written you back yet. So yeah, I'm going to do that. So sorry if you haven't heard from me, but hopefully I'll be replying soon. I hope I can find that time. Okay, so let's get back into the Book of Mormon. We are on Alma, chapter 23. And up until now, this is all several chapters in the past have all been about this, me and missionaries to the Lamanites, right? And we've been pretty successful. I mean, it's been violent, right? There's definitely, this is not a, if you're going to make an omelet, you got to crack a few eggs, apparently. And some of the Lamanites have been the eggs in this story. But so far, we've got King Lamoni, who is the king over the land of Ishmael. I believe I'm saying that right. And then his dad, we don't know his name. He's just the king of all the lands, except for the land of Ishmael. Both of them now have been totally converted to the Nephites' religion. And so they've given up their Nehor ways, right? You can't worship the Nehor religion. That one's no good. So now they're Nephite people. And, and apparently that's, I don't know how widespread this is, because at the very end of the last chapter, we got into this whole, let's describe the territory, the geography of the territory of the Lamanites and the Nephites. And what we gathered from that, basically, in the end of it all, and some of the listeners, some of the Mimos wrote me and kind of tried to explain a little. Basically, what we get from that is Nephites in the south, Lamanites in the north, and they're protected by a narrow strip of land. So some people have theorized that perhaps what is trying to be described is that the Nephites are in South America, and the Lamanites are in North America, and because Central America is just this little strip of land, they're relatively separated and safe from each other. Yeah, what it sounds like. So let's just use that as a mental image. That'll make it easier for us. And all right, so let's get going. We'll see how these Nephite missionaries, if they're going to be able to conquer all of North America for the Nephites. Not conquer, religiously conquer, I guess, would be a right way of saying that. Okay. Now, again, I'm not drinking along, but I will still be calling out drinks, right? So everyone seems to still like that. And again, the one time I didn't do that, I got attacked by emails. Everyone's saying, what's wrong with you? Bring it back. So we're still going to be calling out the drinks. I just personally will not be getting drunk this episode. It's not going to happen. All right, here we go. Chapter 23. Behold, now it came to pass, drink, that the people of the Lamanites... that the king of the Lamanites, how did I say people? What am I doing? Okay, sent a proclamation among all his people that they should not lay their hands on Ammon. Well, it doesn't matter. Even if you try to lay your hands on Ammon, you're going to die, right? Everyone that's tried to kill Ammon, dead. Or at least arm chopped off. Yeah, you're either dead or you're missing an arm. So yeah, good proclamation, because you don't want to mess with them. All right, so not lay their hands on Ammon or Aaron or Omner or Himni, nor either of their brethren who should go forth preaching the word of God in whatsoever place they should be in any part of their land. There you go. So these missionaries, now an edict from the king, says they are not to be harmed. There you go. Yea, drink. He sent a decree among them, that they should not lay their hands on them to bind them, or to cast them into prison. Neither should they spit upon them, nor smite them, nor cast them out of their synagogues, nor scourge them. Neither should they cast stones at them, but they should have free access to their houses, and also their temples and their sanctuaries. Man, quite a list here. So, you can't spit or throw rocks. There's got to be some loopholes there. If he just said don't harm in any way, then you wouldn't have any wiggle room. But since he gave such a specific list, I think maybe you could probably still mess with them and avoid these, I didn't spit, I didn't throw stones, you know what I mean? Like, maybe starve them. There's ways to mess with them. But anyway, this was interesting, though, that they should have free access to their houses. So if they just walk into town and they're like, hey, this is a nice house, we're gonna stay here. And I guess you can't say no, you have to put them up. Bummer. All right, and thus they might go forth and preach the word according to their desires, for the king had been converted unto the Lord. That's true. And also all his household. Therefore he sent his proclamation throughout the land unto his people, that the word of God might have no obstruction, that might go forth throughout all the land, that his people might be convinced concerning the wicked traditions of their fathers, that they might be convinced that they were all brethren, and that they ought not to murder, nor to plunder, nor to steal, nor to commit adultery, nor to commit any manner of wickedness. So once again, the king's like, I'm on board. What we've, our fathers way back in the day, Laman and Lemuel, they were wrong. They were just wrong. I don't know what to tell you. And, we've been living under a lie for, 600 years now, however long it's been. And as random guys came into town, and one of them is really good with the sword, chopped my arm off, and so now I'm convinced. Yeah, they're right, we're wrong. And everybody, let's start converting. Okay, and now it came to pass, drink, and when the king had sent forth this proclamation, that Aaron and his brethren went forth from city to city, and from one house of worship to another, establishing churches, and consecrating priests and teachers throughout the land among the Lamanites, to preach and to teach the word of God among them. And thus they began to have great success. Well, it's about time, because if you remember, Ammon, he's a good missionary. He took care of business everywhere he went. But Aaron and his lot, they were not as successful. But it sounds like their luck has finally turned around. And Aaron and his brothers, are getting some conversions. It was great. And thousands were brought to the knowledge of the Lord. Yea, drink, thousands were brought to believe in the traditions of the Nephites, and they were taught the records and prophecies which were handed down even unto the present time. Okay, and then, just basically success all around. And as sure as the Lord liveth, so sure as many as believed, or as many were brought to the knowledge of the truth, through the preaching of Ammon and his brethren, according to the Spirit and revelation, and of prophecy, and the power of God, working miracles in them. I'd like to know what these miracles are. Anyway, yea, drink, I say unto you, as the Lord liveth, as many of the Lamanites as believed in their preachings, as were converted unto the Lord, never did fall away. Oh, okay. Well, are they turning white now? Just wondering, because that was the promise. God said, you're cursed, you're all dark, But he said, but, if you ever, come around and repent and believe in Jesus and all that, I'll take the curse away. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're white now. For they became a righteous people. They did lay down their weapons of their rebellion, that they did not fight against God anymore, neither against any of their brethren. They were about to rebel? Interesting. I mean, that does make sense, right? So, you have an entire culture, right, that revolves around a religion. Now think about this. Let's just think of the Middle East, right? Almost exclusively Islamic countries, right? There's certainly some other sects there, but pretty much when you look at the Middle East, you're thinking Islam, right? So let's just say that there was a new king of Saudi Arabia tomorrow, right? And he just stands up and says, "Everyone, I've decided we're Christian now. Muhammad was wrong. Jesus was right," right? And that's what he's saying. And he's like, "I'm going to send all these Christian missionaries out, but you're not allowed to touch them, and they can stay in your house." Just think about this, right? I would imagine that would not be very well received, right? I imagine that most of the populace of Saudi Arabia would say our king has either lost his mind or the devil's got to him or something. They wouldn't be happy. And I would think that there would be some sort of rebellion. And I would also think it wouldn't take very long. I think it would happen almost immediately. So this is similar, right? An entire Lamanite culture that revolves around their religious beliefs and their culture. And so the king stands up and says, we're throwing all of that away, and we're adopting the religion of our sworn enemy, because they're right and we've been wrong all the time. You just can't say that. You know what I mean? You just can't tell people that. Like, we're changing everything. Get on board. So yeah, it makes sense that there were people that had weapons for their rebellion. I mean, it doesn't describe what this rebellion is. I'm just trying to put two and two together. And I would imagine that there would have been a rebellion, but for whatever reason, they were ready to fight, and then these Ammon and Aaron and all them came out and convinced them this was the way to go. They are good salesmen. Think of how good you would have to be to go to Saudi Arabia and convert everyone to Christianity. You would have to be amazing. You know what I mean? Amazing missionary. I mean, man, I don't know. I can't even think of what you would. I don't know. You just have to be really good at it. So these guys have stepped up their game. They are now like missionary extraordinaire. Good for them. All right, so no more weapons for their rebellions. Okay. Now these are they who were converted unto the Lord, the people of the Lamanites who are in the land of Ishmael. We already knew that, right? Yeah, that's all the Lamoni folk. Yeah, we knew they were converted. Let's see. And also the people of the Lamanites who are in the land of Madoni. Okay. And also the people of the Lamanites who are in the city of Nephi. Okay. And also the people of the Lamanites who were in the land of Shilom, and who were in the land of Shemlon, and in the city of Lemuel, and in the city of Shimnilam. Okay. I don't know. Does that mean all of them? Does that mean 10%? You know what I mean? I don't know. But apparently all of these fictitious places are now converted. That's great. Okay. And these are the names of the cities of the Lamanites which were converted unto the Lord. And these are they that laid down their weapons of their rebellion. They were rebelling, yeah. Yea, drink all their weapons of war, and they were all Lamanites. Of course they were Lamanites. Who else would they be? That was a weird... Well, I guess there were some immigrants, right? I can't remember, something with an A. Anyway, here they are, right in the next verse. I just kept reading. And the Amalekites were not converted. Those damn Amalekites. In every religious book they're referenced, they are always evil. I think I mentioned that. God, I was drunk, but I'm pretty sure I remember referencing the Amalekites in the Bible were just just slaughtered left and right because they were so evil, And here they are, not being converted in the Book of Mormon either. They are just gods. They hate God, no matter where they are. Anyway, so they're not converted. Okay, so the Amalekites were not converted, save only one. One? Who's the one? That's weird. I hope we find out who this one is, because they made it a point to call him out. Okay. Neither were any of the Ammulonites, but they did harden their hearts, and also the hearts of the Lamanites that in that part of the land wheresoever they dwelt. Yea, drink, and all their villages and all their cities. So the Amalekites and the Ammulonites are apparently a bad influence on the Lamanites that live near them. They're just making sure that they stay good and stiff-necked. Therefore we have named all the cities of the Lamanites in which they did repent and come to the knowledge of the truth, and were converted. Yes, indeed you did. Well done. And now it came to pass, drink, that the king and those who were converted and were desirous that they might have a name. Wait, they don't have names? Oh, maybe we're going to get the name of the king finally. that thereby they might be distinguished from their brethren. Therefore the king consulted with Aaron and many of the priests concerning the name that they should take upon them, that they might be distinguished. Ah, this isn't the king's name. This is like, okay, so we don't want to just be Lamanites now, because some of the Lamanites are still wicked and stiff-necked. So can we be called something else? There you go. All right. And it came to pass, drink, that they called their names Anti-Nephi-Lehis. What kind of name is that? And they were called by this name and were no more called Lamanites. Swear to God. Anti-Nephi-Lehis. First of all, seriously? You couldn't get any more creative than that? But secondly, why is the word anti in front of it? Like, okay, so these Lamanites have now converted, and they're like, we're like you, Nephites, we're just like you, so what do you want to be called? How about anti-Nephi? Like, that sounds more like a description of the people that have not been converted, doesn't it? Like, they would be the anti-Nephites. And then, why do you throw Lehi at the end? I don't know. That's bizarre. That is a bizarre name, anti-Nephi-Lehi. And by the way, is this what we have to call them from now on? That's going to get annoying. Anyway, all right. And they began to be a very industrious people. Yea, drink. They were friendly with the Nephites, therefore they did open a correspondence with them, and the curse of God did no more follow them. Ah, there you go, everybody. They're all white again. Good for you, anti-Nephi-Lehis. Welcome back to Caucasianhood. I guess. It didn't specify that was a skin color reference, but I'm pretty sure it was, right? And the curse was clearly defined as a skin-darkening curse. So if the curse has been lifted, I guess they lost their tan. Yeah. Okay, I was into chapter 23, and pretty much the missionaries have been incredibly successful, except for those darn Amalekites and Ammonites. Except for them, everybody's converted, and now they're anti-Nephites, apparently. And it came to pass, drink, the Amalekites and the Ammonites and the Lamanites who were in the land of Ammon, and also the land of Halam, and who were in the land of Jerusalem, and in Phine, and all the land round about, who had not been converted, and not taken up upon the name of Anti-Nephi-Lehi, were stirred up by the Amalekites and the Ammonites to anger against their brethren. So yeah, now we have, I don't like all these new names. Anti-Nephi-Lehi, that means Lamanites who are white again and converted. Yeah. And everybody else they all have different names, right? So I assume there are still Lamanites, and those Lamanites are like the original Lamanites who didn't convert, still dark, and then the Amalekites and the Ammonites. So those three are like the stiff-necked groups, and then the anti-Nephi-Lehi, a righteous group. Yeah. Okay. I think that's what's going on. And their hatred became exceedingly sore against them, even insomuch that they began to rebel against their king. It's about time somebody did. Again, I would have thought this would have happened earlier, but anyway, insomuch that they would not that he should be their king. Therefore, they took up arms against the people of Anti-Nephi-Lehi. At least we have a battle coming. All right, Book of Mormon. I don't know what's going to happen next, but you better not just give me like one little verse, and then they fought and one side won. If you remember, last time we had a good battle, it was awesome. I mean, we had like bodies being cast into rivers to create land bridges. It was nuts. So just don't let me down. That's all I'm saying. We haven't had a good battle in a while. I guess the whole Ammon, by the river, killing people with his sling and chopping arms off. That was a pretty cool scene, but it wasn't exactly a battle, was it? It was just like one guy being this awesome ninja. But anyway, okay. So let's just see what happens here. Now the king conferred the kingdom upon his son, and he called his name Anti-Nephi-Lehi. Are you freaking kidding me? That's great. So now when we see Anti-Nephi-Lehi, we won't be sure if they're talking about the people as a whole or this new king. And also, the king, who was never named, who I assume is the king of all the land, already had a son, and his name was Lamoni. And so I don't know if Lamoni has now Anti-Nephi-Lehi, if that's his new name, or if the king had more than one son. I don't know if it matters, but if it does, I'm going to be super confused because I don't know who's who now. All right. And the king died in that selfsame year that the Lamanites began to make preparations for war against the people of God. Well, there's good timing, king. Bow out as soon as things are about to get tough. Now when Ammon and his brethren and all those who had come up with him saw the preparations of the Lamanites to destroy their brethren, they came forth to the land of Midian. And there Ammon met all his brethren. And from thence they came to the land of Ishmael, that they might hold a council with Lamoni, and also with his brother Anti-Nephi-Lehi. There you go. Thank you, Book of Mormon. You cleared that up. So Lamoni is still Lamoni, and the new king of all the land is Lamoni's brother, because their dad just died, and his name is Anti-Nephi-Lehi. Terrible name. Okay, what they should do to defend themselves against the Lamanites. Now there was not one soul among all the people who had been converted unto the Lord that they would take up arms against their brethren. Nay, now that was nay, not yea, so no drinking. And also their king commanded that they should not. Well, this is not a very good strategy. So the Lamanites are like gearing up for war. They're getting their battle lines ready. And the anti-Nephi-Lehis are saying, nope, we're good. We're playing this one. We're going pacifist in this war, I guess. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Now these are the words which he said unto the people concerning the matter. I thank my God, my beloved people, and our great God has in goodness sent these our brethren, the Nephites, unto us to preach unto us and to convince us of the traditions of our wicked fathers. I guess this is this weird king who's saying, yeah, we're not going to fight. We're just going to thank God that these Nephites came and saved us. Okay. And behold, I thank my great God that he has given us a portion of his spirit to soften our hearts, that we might have open a correspondence with these brethren the Nephites. And behold, I also thank my God that by opening this correspondence we have been convinced of our sins and of the many murders which we have committed. Well, let's not act like the Nephites' hands are clean, right? they've got a fair amount of murder on their side too. Just saying. But for some reason they're all ignoring that. It's just the Lamanites who have been evil, right? Yeah, sure. And also I thank my God, yea, drink, my great God, that he hath granted unto us that we might repent of these things, and also that he hath forgiven us of those our many sins and murders which we have committed, and taken away the guilt from our hearts through the merits of his Son. God, this whole doctrine is confusing, because I get it, that they all believe that Jesus is going to come and die for all their sins. With me? But he hasn't come yet, so I don't know how they're getting forgiven. I really don't. Like, it doesn't. Like in the Old Testament of the Bible, they had to like slaughter animals as blood sacrifices and burnt offerings and all this kind of stuff, right? Because there hadn't been a savior to come redeem them of all their sins once and for all. So they had to continually sacrifice to God. God's a bit bloodthirsty. Always had to have something killed, right? To forgive someone. And then ultimately he needed a human sacrifice. Actually, there was some hints that human sacrifices, especially with kids, happened early. But anyway, Jesus was the ultimate human sacrifice. So yeah, there you go. Christianity and Mormonism, according to this book, human sacrifice is central to their theme. But anyway, my whole point of that is, I don't understand how they're getting forgiven now. If they're like, we're being through the merits of his Son, we're being forgiven. Well, he doesn't exist yet, dude. He's not there. So anyway, I just don't understand this forgiveness part at this point in time. It's a little bit misleading, I think. All right. And now behold, my brethren, since it has been all that we could do, and then parentheses, it says, as we were the most lost of all mankind. Okay. There you go. They were the most lost. I don't know how they know that, but apparently they think that they were the most lost. I guess they're talking to people all over the world, and they compared notes. Okay. To repent of all our sins, and to make murders which we have committed, and to get God to take them away from our hearts, for it was all we could do to repent sufficiently before God that he would take away our stain. All right. Now, my best beloved brethren, since God hath taken away our stains, and our swords have become bright, let us stain our swords no more with the blood of our brethren. Behold, I say unto you, nay, let us retain our swords, that they may not be stained with the blood of our brethren, for perhaps we should stain our swords again. They can no more be washed bright through the blood of the Son of our great God, which shall be shed for the atonement of our sins. Okay. So for some reason now, God is like, well, don't kill Lamanites. That's not a good thing to do. Well, sure was good earlier. It was pretty well condoned. As a matter of fact, God joined the fight, if you remember. He used to come into the battle and be like, I'm going to strengthen your hands so you can kill more Lamanites. And now it's like the Lamanites are coming ready to kill him, and God, I guess, has instructed these people, let's just sit this one out. So there you go. Because, if you have the blood of your brethren on your swords, they can never be clean again. Well, I don't think there's too many clean swords in that kingdom. I'm just because they've all been killing each other for quite some time. Anyway, and the great God has had mercy on us, and made these things known unto us, that we may not perish. Yea, drink. He's made these things known unto us beforehand, because he loveth our souls as well, and he loveth our children. Therefore, in his mercy he doth visit us by his angels, the plan of salvation might be made known unto us well as unto future generations. So angels are there with him now? I don't know what that meant. Just like, and, visits, angels visits, sidebar. We won't get into it, but yeah, angels visited. Sure. Okay. Oh, how merciful is our God. Did we just read that? No, this is new, but it sounds like it's just repeating itself. And now behold, since it has been as much as we could do to get our stains taken away from us, and our swords are made bright, let us hide them away, that they might be kept bright. This is all repeating itself. As a testimony to our God at the last day, or at the day that we shall be brought to stand before him to be judged, that we have not stained our swords in the blood of our brethren, since he has imparted his word unto us, and made us clean thereby. Same stuff. What are you gonna do? It just reworded it, but it's all the same message. I'm not gonna say anything about it, because we already did. And now, my brethren, if our brethren seek to destroy us, behold, we will hide away our swords, yea, drink. Even we will bury them deep in the earth, that they might be kept bright, as a testimony that we never used them at the last day. And if our brethren destroy us, behold, we shall go to our God and shall be saved. Wow, this is interesting. So this is kind of the whole death cult thing, right? And honestly, the Christian view of the world is kind of death cult, right? It's a belief that the greatest gift that you can have once you're saved is to die, right? Because then you get to go and spend eternity in heaven and all this stuff. And this is calling that out, like, perfect. They're saying there's people coming to kill us. What should we do? And they're like, we should stand there, stick our chests out, and get killed. Because how great would that be? It'd be fantastic. You know what I mean? We'll get to heaven. We'll be like, hey, God, we're not violent. We just let him just chop us to bits, And so this kind of thinking really is dangerous. This exact thinking right here is why you have people that refuse modern medicine, right? Their kids get sick, and they're just like, let's pray for him. Then the kid dies, and they're like, well, he's in heaven. Isn't it great? I mean, that's not a good way to live. I mean, it infects. If you have this way of thinking, it infects just about everything you do. Because this way of thinking is all about, don't worry about your life here. It's irrelevant, right? Just be righteous so that when you die, everything will be okay, right? It's death cult. I don't know what else to call that. But, so yeah, you have people that, are completely broke, can't feed their kids, but yet they still give their money to the church. Things like that. Because I'm paying the church for blessings. You know what I mean? It's a twisted way of thinking, but it's all about this life doesn't matter. And that, my friends, is a horrible way to live, in my opinion, because I think this is the only life you have, and if you treat it like it doesn't matter, then you're not really going to get much out of it, and you're probably going to cause harm to yourself and your loved ones. That's my thought. Feel free to disagree and write in and tell me that you think I'm dead wrong, but I think that's kind of messed up. But here they are. They're saying if they want to come kill us, hey, joke's on them. We'll be in heaven. So we should be so lucky as to get killed by our brethren. Is kind of what they're saying. Okay. And now it came to pass, drink, that when the king had made an end of these sayings, and all the people were assembled together, they took their swords and all the weapons which were used for the shedding of man's blood, and they did bury them deep in the earth. Genius. And as they did this, it being in their view a testimony to God and also to men that they never would use weapons again for the shedding of man's blood, and this they did, vouching and covenanting with God, that rather than shed the blood of the brethren they would give up their own lives, and rather than take away from a brother they would give unto him, and rather than spend their days in idleness they would labor abundantly with their hands. The other thing weird about this story is that this is a giant shift, right, into what God expected of them in the past. So in the past, God was like, kill them. Kill the wicked. In matter of fact, when they were retreating in battle, it was like hunt them down and slaughter them, and right. I mean, it was like let no one live. Like God was he did not care for these stiff-neckers, right? He, like I said, at certain points, took charge of the battle and started killing them himself. So all of a sudden now they're like, oh, God went peaceful, so we need to go peaceful too. I don't know when this shift happened, but I really think this is what happens when you have an imaginary friend in the sky and you're just trying to guess what he wants of you, right? So they're guessing God doesn't want us to kill our brothers, when earlier in the story, their best guess was God really wants us to kill all these people. So yeah, it's an inconsistent worldview, but what do they know? They're just making it up as they go along, trying to make this imaginary friend happy. There you go. And also, I gotta say I'm disappointed, because they really made me think that there was a big battle coming, and now it's not. They're just not in a battle, I guess. Unless the Lamanites come and slaughter them. That could be interesting. Alright, we'll see. And thus we see that when these Lamanites were brought to believe and to know the truth, they were firm, and would suffer even unto death rather than commit sin. Wait, what? These Lamanites? Who are these Lamanites? I don't know. And thus we see that they buried their weapons of peace, or they buried the weapons of war for peace. I think that was a typo, I gotta say, because they're referring to the Lamanites, who at this point are supposed to be the non-converted ones. But now it's just describing what they just did, that they didn't want to, kill anyone. They'd rather bury their weapons, which I thought that they would rather suffer unto death rather than commit sin. So now they're actually calling out that killing a Lamanite is a sin. Wow. Well, then, so far in this book, I don't think any Nephite was righteous, right? Because they went to so much trouble to kill all the Lamanites in the past. But anyway, I think they meant to say the anti-Nephi Lehis, not Lamanites there. Okay, sorry. I actually had to step away for a second. Of course, you don't know that. I just paused. But anyway, I'm back. So let me see where I left off here. All right, we're at 20. And it came to pass, drink, that their brethren, the Lamanites, made preparations for war. Wow, so they're coming to just slaughter these defenseless, what are they? Anti-Nephi people. Still such a strange name. And came up to the land of Nephi for the purpose of destroying the king, and then to place another in his stead, and also of destroying the people of anti-Nephi that's a tongue twister. Anti-Nephi Lehi out of the land. Well, good news for you, Lamanites. You're going to have an easy time of it, because they're just kind of sitting there defenseless. So, if your goal is to drive them out of the land, shouldn't be too hard. All right. And when the people saw that they were coming against them, they went out to meet them, and prostrated themselves before them to the earth, and began to call out the name of the Lord. And thus they were in the attitude when the Lamanites began to fall upon them, and began to slay them with the sword. Wow. So, okay. So I'm thinking these anti-Nephi Lehis thought, hey, if we go out there and we just fall to the earth and bow down and say, oh God, that somehow the Lamanites will, I don't know, see the light or show some compassion. No, Lamanites are like, well, this'll be easy. And just started to kill them all. That's okay. And thus, without meeting any resistance, they did slay 1,005 of them. Oh, okay. And when they know that they are blessed, for they have gone to dwell with their God. Yep. Back to the death cult. Yep. So they were just like, I mean, this is basically suicide. 1,005 people, for all intents and purposes, just killed themselves, right? But that's God. That's God's will, right? Yeah, for a bunch of just mass suicide. I mean, I know they didn't actually run the sword through themselves, but when there's an army coming and saying, we want to kill all of you, and you bury your weapons and lay down on the ground before them, it's pretty much suicide. So there you go. But they're happy. They're with God now. Good for them. Now when the Lamanites saw that their brethren would not flee from the sword, neither would they turn aside to the right hand or the left, but that they would lie down and perish, and praise God even in the very act of perishing under the sword. Okay, that's weird. It said, now when the Lamanites saw, but then it never finished the thought. It just said they saw it. Okay. Now when the Lamanites saw this, they did forbear from slaying them. Well, you've already killed 1,000, so I don't know how much you're forbearing. Anyway, and there were many whose hearts had swollen in for those of their brethren who had fallen under the sword, for they repented of the things which they had done. So this might have worked. I mean, 1,005 people died, but it might have been for a good cause. Lamanites are starting to feel a little bit guilty about slaughtering people for, just laying there. And it came to pass, drink, that they threw down their weapons of war, and they would not take them again. Well, this plan really, I mean, again, 1,000 people died, but looks like the plan did work. They were like, all right, we got to figure out a way to convert these holdouts. What could we do? Well, we could just let them slaughter a bunch of us and then feel really bad about it. That could work. And apparently it did, because Lamanites they're like, we can't do this anymore. This isn't right. Yeah. Okay, for they were stung for the murders which they had committed, and they came down even as their brethren, relying upon the mercies of those whose arms were lifted to slay them. And it came to pass, drink, that the people of God were joined that day by more than the number who had been slain. And those who had been slain were righteous people. Well, they were suicidal, but okay, righteous. Therefore, we have no reason to doubt but what they were saved. No reason to doubt but what they were saved. I guess it just means that, surely they're in heaven. Surely. Because everyone that commits suicide goes to heaven, I guess. And there was not a wicked man slain among them, but there were more than 1,000 brought to the knowledge of the truth. All right, do the math, guys. It worked out. 1,000 died. More than 1,000 were saved. I think this is a good day. Yeah, that's exactly how that should work. Okay, thus we see the Lord worketh in many ways to the salvation of his people. All right, so the next time there's some warlord in Africa that goes and just wipes out a village, don't worry, that's just the Lord. He's workething his many ways. Yeah, it's okay. Mass slaughter, that's fine. Good God. Great way to reach out to the Lamanites. Have them kill 1,000 people defenselessly. Wonderful. Now the greatest number of those of the Lamanites who slew so many of their brethren were Amalekites and Amulites. Of course, had to be the Amalekites. They were evil. And the greatest number whom were after the order of the Nehors. Those Nehors. Now among those who joined the people of the Lord, those were none who were Amalekites or Amulites, who were order of the Nehor, but they were actual descendants of Laman and Lemuel. Okay, everybody, get this straight. So, the Amalekites and the Ammonites, so they were in there killing, slaughtering. And once the bloodbath was done, they were like, well, we're still Nehor. You didn't convince us. Just because he lay there and died doesn't mean anything to us. But the actual descendants of Laman and Lemuel, the true Lamanites, right? None of these imposters, they were the ones that apparently have now seen the light, and they have been converted. All right. No, there is no, in any religious book I've ever read, there is no salvation for Amalekites. I don't know about these Ammonites, but if they've joined forces with the Amalekites, they're doomed. Forget it. There's no way that they're ever going to be, they're favored in the eyes of God. No way. And thus we can plainly discern that after a people have been once enlightened by the Spirit of God, and have had great knowledge of things pertaining to righteousness, and then have fallen away into sin and transgression, they become more hardened, and thus their state becomes worse than though they had never known these things. Back to this again. So pretty much what that said was better off to be a godless heathen than to be an apostate. That's exactly what that just said. You are better off if you never knew about God than if you knew about him and turned away. That is horrible. And again, I'm going to say it like I've said it, I don't know, a dozen times on this show. Why are you missionaries then? Come on. If people are better off to not know, why are you going out trying to tell them about it? It doesn't make any sense. Because what if they don't believe you? You've just doomed them, right? If you tell them about it and they say no thanks, well, now they know. And they said no, and they have to be killed or sent to the lake of fire. Better off just leave them alone. Leave them be. All right. I know I've made that point before. I don't know why I don't ask that question. I've had 2 MIMO specials, and neither one have I asked, why are there missionaries? This makes no sense. I need to... So if anyone knows the answer, maybe not email it to me. Yeah. Let's wait for the next special. I'm going to drop that gem on somebody and see what they have to say. Yeah. Or, if somebody out there thinks that they have an awesome answer for that question, yeah, then let me know, and maybe you could be a contestant for the next MIMO special. And even if you're a TBM, I would love to hear TBM's response to that. That would be very enlightening. Okay, I think we have time for another. Sure, why not? Let's see how long it is. 1, 2... Yeah, we can do this. It's not too long. Okay, chapter 25 of the Book of Alma. Yeah, I wonder how long Alma's going to take. I don't know. I've just been told it's long, and we're 25. It's no joke. So I don't know. Hopefully we're at least halfway through. Anyway, okay. Now behold, now it came to pass, that those Lamanites were more angry because they had slain their brethren. And who are they angry at? Angry at themselves, I guess. Therefore they swore vengeance upon the Nephites, and they did no more attempt to slay the people of anti-Nephi-Lehi at that time. What just happened? I don't understand. The Lamanites are angry because they'd killed their brethren, I guess, the anti-Nephi-Lehi, and because they're angry that they slaughtered innocent people, they swore vengeance upon the Nephites. Why? What on earth does that mean? That doesn't make any sense, right? Because the people that were angry that they killed their brothers, they converted, it sounds like, and now they hate the Nephites. I don't know. Someone's got to help me out with this. I don't understand. All right. But they took their armies and went over into the borders of the land of Zarahemla, okay, and fell upon the people who were in the land of Ammoniah and destroyed them. Why? Who? Is Ammoniah... Okay, hold on. Ammoniah might have been that town that, those guys went into, and they were chucking the babies in the fire and all that stuff. Wasn't that Ammoniah? And then we were told that it was destroyed by a group of Lamanites. I think that we learned that before. This might be like a callback, I think is what that is. I don't have time to like go back and check my own memory, but I think that's what's happening. Did a terrible job explaining why they did this. Like, Lamanites are like, oh, we just killed our own people. Why? Well, because we kind of disagree with them religiously. Let's go kill Nephites. You know what I mean? It's like, it didn't really make any sense. Anyway. Okay. And after that, they had many battles with the Nephites. Why? In which they were driven and slain. This is so strange. Why are these Lamanites doing this? I thought they were all converted. It sounded like they were all converted, except for those dirty Amalekites and Ammonites. The Lamanites were good to go now. But I don't know. I don't know why. But yeah, they're still at it. They're still fighting the old Nephites, and apparently not doing. They won one battle, right? It took out Ammoniah, but then after that, it sounds like they're not doing so well. Although we don't know, right? Actually, that's true. It's a poor pronoun. After that, they had many battles with the Nephites, in which they were driven and slain. Don't know who they is. That might have been the Lamanites who were driven and slain, or the Nephites. Actually, now that I read it to mean that like the Lamanites were driven and slain, but it just as easily could have meant the Nephites were driven and slain. It just doesn't say. Don't know. Okay. And among the Lamanites who were slain were almost all the seed of Ammon and his brethren, who were the priests of Noah, and they were slain by the hands of the Nephites. Okay. Well, this might make a little more sense, because if it's the seed of Ammon, then wouldn't they be like those Ammonites? And if so, I think it was just a typo in verse 1. Yeah, but it said the Lamanites that were angry. I think they meant to say the Ammonites. I think. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. They're fighting. People are fighting. We have no idea what their motives are, but quite frankly, have their motives ever made sense, really? They haven't. Okay, and the remainder, having fled into the east wilderness, oh god, not this geography stuff again. Okay, that looks like it was just that, sorry. And having usurped the power and authority over the Lamanites, caused that many of the Lamanites should perish by fire because of their belief. Whew, I don't know what's going on. I just don't know who's doing the killing and why, but now we have Lamanites killing Lamanites. I mean, lighting them on fire. Not good. For many of them, after having suffered much loss and so many afflictions, began to be stirred up in the remembrance of the words which Aaron and his brethren had preached to them in their land. Therefore they began to disbelieve the tradition of their fathers, and to believe in the Lord. Yeah, I thought that already happened. And that he gave great power unto the Nephites, and thus there were many of them converted in the wilderness. Man, either I read the last chapter wrong, or it sure sounded like the Lamanites were all happy now, and good, Nephite-believing people. But whatever. I guess I read that wrong in the last chapter, because I thought only the Amalekites and Ammonites were evil. Whatever. Okay. I guess at this point, among the Lamanites and everyone that lives with Lamanites, some of them are converted and some aren't, and they're fighting each other and the Nephites. That's the best I can give you. That's the best I can do with this information. And it came to pass, drink, that those rulers who were in the remnant of the children of Ammon caused that they should be put to death. Yea, drink, all those that believed in these things. Who? They should be put to death. So who is they? Is it the people who believe in, like, the Nehor stuff because they just converted? Or is it the people that converted to I don't know. This is the worst written chapter of this book. It's not the worst chapter. There's been a lot worse things in here. This is the worst written because it doesn't make any sense. The use of pronouns is out of hand. None of this is making any sense. But anyway, let's just make a judgment call. So we'll say that the rulers of the Ammonites are killing the people that are turning away from Nehor and starting to believe in the Nephite religion. Okay, we'll just go with that. Okay. Now this martyrdom caused that many of their brethren should be stirred up to anger, and there began to be contention in the wilderness. And the Lamanites began to hunt the seed of Ammon and his brethren, and began to slay them, and they fled in the east wilderness. Okay, so if my theory was right, then the people that were getting killed because of their beliefs fought back, and they actually won, I guess, because they scattered all the seed, which, we can either take the perverted meaning of scattering your seed, and you can just have a visual of that, or it means that they're, basically just, it's another way of saying Ammonite. Yeah, I think that's probably what it meant. Although just the thought of scattering your seed around the wilderness, that could be fun. Okay. And behold, they are hunted at this day by the Lamanites. This day? Wow. Just thousands of years this hunting has been going on. Interesting. Thus the words of Abinadi were brought to pass. There we go. Which he said concerning the seeds of the priest who had caused that he should suffer death by fire. Man, that is a way callback. Okay, so Abinadi was killed by King Noah, right? And his evil priests. And, yeah. And remember when he was being burned to death, he had like this 3-page diatribe. You know what I mean? And he was like very calm and collected, saying, yeah, I shouldn't be doing this, guys. It's a bad call, because, God's going to get you. God's going to get you. It took him hundreds of years for God to finally get some payback. But apparently it eventually happened. Good for you, Abinadi. Way to see into the future. That's great. Now this is what he meant, that many should suffer death by fire, according as he had suffered. Okay. And he said unto the priests of Noah, and their seed should cause many to be put to death, in the like manner as he was, and they should be scattered abroad and slain, even as sheep having no shepherd is driven. We have to read the whole thing again? Okay. So this is what Abinadi said when he was slowly being burned to death. Okay, scattered abroad and slain, even as a sheep having no shepherd is driven and slain by wild beast. And now behold, these words were verified, for they were driven by the Lamanites, and they were hunted, and they were smitten. There you go. And it came to pass, drink, that when the Lamanites saw that they could not overpower the Nephites, they returned again to their own land, and many of them came over to dwell in the land of Ishmael and the land of Nephi, and did join themselves to the people of God, who were the people anti-Nephi Lehi. I don't know who these Lamanites are. I can't, but apparently, whatever these Lamanites were fighting the Nephites, and I can't even, speculate as to why they were doing it, but they realized they were going to lose, and so they moved back, and now they've joined the believers, the anti-Nephi Lehis. So I don't know if they're converted yet, but they live there. And they did also bury their weapons of war, according as their brethren had, and they began to be a righteous people. Okay. So now these random Lamanites that were trying to kill Nephites, just randomly, as soon as they're like, we're going to lose this war. Hey, I have an idea. Let's convert. And so that's what they're doing. It was a great solution. And they did walk in the ways of the Lord, and did observe to keep his commandments and his statutes. Yea, drink. They did keep the law of Moses, for it was expedient that they should keep the law of Moses as yet. Okay, for it was not all fulfilled. All right, but notwithstanding the law of Moses, they did look forward to the coming of Christ. Everybody looks forward to that, yeah. Considering that the law of Moses was a type of his coming, and believing that they must keep those outward performances until the time that he should be revealed unto them. Sure. Now they did suppose that salvation came by the law of Moses, but the law of Moses did serve to strengthen their faith in Christ, and thus they did retain a hope through faith unto eternal salvation, relying upon the spirit of prophecy, which spake of those things to come. There you go. So something about salvation comes from Moses. Well, not really. Moses just kind of tells us about Christ, and no, it didn't. But well, whatever. Yeah, they're something about Moses and Christ. It's just making them just sleep well at night. Sounds great. Now behold, Ammon, and Aaron, and Omner, and Himni, and their brethren did rejoice exceedingly for the success which they had among the Lamanites, seeing that the Lord had granted unto them according to their prayers, and that he had also verified his word unto them in every particular. In every particular? What in the world? That's weird. Okay, that was the end of chapter 35, or 25, sorry. I think we're going to close it off for now. But I gotta tell you, I'm really hopeful that there's some type of Mormon child song with Ammon, Aaron, Omner, and Himni. I just feel like that would make a good child song, right? Or children's song, not child song. Ammon, and Aaron, and Omner, and Himni. Something like that. That could be fun. So if that does exist, and somebody has some MP3 of it, send it to me. Actually, I'd like to hear any Mormon songs. They sound fun, as long as there's no spoilers. Can't give me one from the Book of, what's the end? Book of Ether? Yeah, I can't have Ether songs. No, because I haven't read it. So anyway, whatever. I'm babbling now. All right, that was 25. So some good news. So this is the beginning of October. So all of the payments came in through Patreon for all of our awesome MIMOs. They're in the MIMO family, the royal family, I think we call them now, right? Everybody contributing there. And so took the money and made the donation as promised to the Taylor Scholarship. So if you go to the Patreon page and click on the activity tab, you'll see I put the screenshots of the donation up there. Turned out to be just a little less than what I think I was hoping it would be, but because the Patreon does have a fee for the service, and then there's people that use credit cards with their PayPal that gets cut out too. But then we lost a few people, unfortunately. And don't get me wrong, I'm not upset. I'm not angry at anybody. The fact that you gave at all was great, but I understand people's financial situations change, and sometimes, you're able to give and sometimes you're not. So we've had about 3 or 4 people that had originally signed up to be, contribute per episode and have removed themselves, so they're just not able to. So I guess the point is, there's some openings in the royal family, so if anybody else wants to jump on board there, you can. And of course, you can go to patreon.com/mybookofmormonpodcast, or you can just go to the website, which I think I've already mentioned, mybookofmormonpodcast.com, and you'll see the links there too. So anyway, we were able to give $300. I rounded it off just to make it easier. So I took a tiny bit less than what I wanted to take for the show, just so I could round up the donation. So it's $300 this month. I think it's awesome. That's enough to help somebody that's in dire need of it. And so, that went off to Whitefields, and thanks to everybody that helped make that happen. And hopefully every month that we do this, it's a little bit more, and so that we can really be able to help a lot more people. So that's it for now. Thank you, everybody. And I hope you enjoy this midweek episode. Did another one for you. Yeah, a little midweeker. This is nice. And then, I have to get another one out Sunday night. I don't know when I'm going to record it, but I will find the time. I always find time for the Mimos. You guys are awesome. So, goodbye. Thank you for listening. And hopefully you're not disappointed that I'm not drunk right now. I will continue to do these sober unless there's like a big outcry that, oh, you were just so fun drunk. Do it again. Although, let's be honest, I'll probably do it again at some point just because I do like to drink from time to time. So, we'll see. All right, ending the babbling. Love you guys. Keep being awesome. And until next time, goodbye.
This song is licensed for use within this podcast. All song and copyright information can be found at www.mybookofmormonpodcast.com.